And today is the day that Finance Minister Ofori-Atta presented the much-anticipated post-IMF budget to lawmakers. In this edition of the Citi Newsroom, we'll be bringing you details of that and many more. Also coming up, special prosecutor given almost 200 million cedis to fight corruption. And if you are in the informal sector, some good news for you, as now you are likely to get a pension fund. Also coming up, the luxury tax increase or reviewed to 30% rather. Also coming up, Nathan.
Yes, government to extend the tax stamp policy to textile products while it introduces a zero-rate VAT on the supply of locally made textiles for a limited period of 3 years.
And Finance Minister also announces that he intends to spend about 8 billion cedis to finance infrastructure development in Ghana. We bring you that and many more as we speak to economists, business players, and to you on the streets on what the budget holds for you. Welcome to the Citi Newsroom. My name is Vivian Lokko.
And my name is Nathan Quao. And let's start off with the textile industry, and is expected to see a major boost next year with the implementation of a zero-rate VAT on the supply of locally made textiles. This is according to Finance Minister Ofori-Atta when he presented the budget earlier today. The local textile industry, which used to employ around 30,000 people, currently employs only around 5,000 due to activities such as smuggling and counterfeiting, which have undermined the industry. And the Finance Minister said the government would extend the tax stamp policy on the textile products and also give a zero-rate VAT on the supply of the locally made textiles.
Right. So before we bring you that on highlights on all the things that happen, some of the things that we are looking at is the income of people. Now, the mid-budget, you remember, if you earned more than 10,000 cedis, yes. If you take home 10,000 cedis, you are attracting an income tax of 35%. Yes. Now, this morning, the Finance Minister announced that has been reviewed to 20,000 cedis. So that's some tax relief for people who earn
10,000.
You fall in that category. So that's some good news. And also another good news is if you are a minimum wage earner, you initially you pay some bit of income tax, yes. But you have been exempted from that. So that's some good tax reliefs for majority of Ghanaians who fall in the minimum wage and also the high income. But let's bring you highlights of the budget.
According to the Finance Minister, the strategic pillars of the 2019 budget are infrastructure, agricultural modernization, industrialization, entrepreneurship, improving efficiency in revenue mobilization, and protecting the public purse as well as social intervention. He pointed out that expenditure on wages and salaries is forecasted at 19.4 billion Ghana cedis, representing about 26.5% of total expenditure. Meanwhile, total revenue and grants for 2019 is estimated at 58.9 billion Ghana cedis, 17.1% of the rebased GDP. By this, government will have a budget deficit of 14.5 billion Ghana cedis.
Capital expenditure is projected at 8.5 billion, equivalent to 2.5% of GDP, and a growth of 55.7% over the 2018 projected outturn. Of this amount, domestically financed capital expenditure sector of 3.2 billion or 0.9% of GDP. An amount of 5.3 billion has been budgeted for foreign finance capital expenditure, and this will be funded by a combination of project grants and loans. Mr. Speaker, based on the estimates for total revenue and grants and total expenditure, the 2019 fiscal operations will result in an overall budget deficit of 14.5 billion, equivalent to 4.2% of GDP.
On macroeconomic targets, government is hoping to achieve an overall GDP growth of 7% in 2019. This is premised on a rebased economy.
Mr. Speaker, data as the end September 2018 show that the economy is in good shape and we are on track to meet our targets. World GDP grew by 5.4% using the rebase series, 6.8% in the first quarter. in the first half of 2018 compared to the annual target of 5.6%. Non-oil GDP grew by 4.6% compared to the 2018 target of 5.8%. Annual inflation rate declined from 11.8% at the end of 2017 to 9.8% at the end of September 2018, and further, Mr. Speaker, to 9.5% as of October 2018.
The federal government is projecting crude oil price for 2019 at $66.76 per barrel, in line with the Petroleum Revenue Management Act. The petroleum revenue will hit $1.1 billion in 2019 if the projections are right.
Benchmark crude oil price for 2019 has been projected at $66.76 per barrel, in line with the Petroleum Revenue Management Act, Amendment 2015 PRMA Act 893. The gas price for 2019 is also projected at $3.99 per million BTUs. The 2019 benchmark revenue crude oil output is 63.4 million barrels, 173,764 barrels of oil per day. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry is proposing to this August House to allow it to exclude gas revenues to the tune of $181.80 million from the projected revenues for 2019, as we devise ways of getting BRA to pay for the gas supplied by Ghana Gas. Furthermore, as a measure to minimize the amount of gas produced in the SGN field for power production, government has decided to postpone the extraction of its share of the gas resources, royalties, and carried and participating interest, until such a time that we line up off-takers to consume the gas in here. These are prudential measures and should not be misconstrued to mean that the Ministry will not be pursuing the PRA's gas bills as required by the PRMA. Mr. Speaker, if this House grants us this request, the projected petroleum revenue for 2019 will amount to $1.1 billion. This is made up of royalties of $227.1 million, carried and participating interest of $602.8 million, current income tax $249.6 million, and surface rentals of $1.1 million.
On infrastructure, Mr. Ofori-Atta stated that government is committed to embarking on an integrated infrastructural development program across the country that will move goods, food items, and people from one location to another to create jobs and prosperity.
The feasibility studies for the proposed 496-kilometer greenfield railway line from Kumasi to Paka, popularly known as the Central Spine, has been undertaken. Phase 1 from Kumasi to Buape section will commence in 2019. Mr. Speaker, the following feasibility studies commence and will be pursued in 2019. Rail link on a BOT basis between the Tema Port and Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso. Development of metro light rail transit system in Accra and Kumasi, such as the recently signed Accra SkyTrain project. Trans-ECOWAS line from Accra through Campus to Welugo, and redevelopment of the central line from Kotoku in Greater Accra region to Uni Valley in the Western region. Mr. Speaker, the railway location workshop also at Esicado is being modernized and equipped and will be completed in 2019 to become a one-stop workshop to serve the railway, mining, petroleum, and agriculture industries. We are confident, Mr. Speaker, that 2019 will relaunch the railway system in Ghana after some 50 years of inactivity. Mr. Speaker, we intend to put $1 billion behind this project.
This is the first budget under the Nanado administration that will not be constrained by IMF conditionalities. It is expected that government will have the space to fiscally implement its policies.
The 2019 budget was delivered amidst a mixture of expectations and hopes. The Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta told Parliament the budget is under the theme A Stronger Economy for Jobs and Growth with the moniker Mpuntu Budget. On infrastructure, Ken Ofori-Atta indicated that the government intends to invest massively in the road and rail sector.
The feasibility studies for the proposed 496-kilometer greenfield railway line from Kumasi to Paka, popularly known as the Central Spine, has been undertaken. Phase 1 from Kumasi to Puepe section will commence in 2019. In 2019, we will invest massively in the development of road and infrastructure from a variety of funding sources. And the following projects have been identified to commence in 2019. Ashanti region. Ahia Kwanta Okwasi.
He also touched on the crisis that has rocked the banking sector and assured that all officials responsible for the mess would be investigated.
It is important that the cost of these interventions borne by taxpayers are recovered to the extent possible through recoveries from debtors, shareholders, and related connected parties, or through unfair means siphon funds from the defunct banks to the detriment of depositors, employees, and other stakeholders in the economy as a whole. The Bank of Ghana has also, Mr. Speaker, set up an Office of Ethics and Internal Investigations to investigate all allegations of misconduct by Bank of Ghana staff, including any role in the collapse of the defunct banks.
On the controversial National Cathedral issue, some seed money from the state, but funds will be raised from the Christian community to finance the project.
The President is determined that the building of the National Cathedral will not put an undue financial burden on the state. He has therefore proposed a partnership between the state and the Ghanaian Christian community, both at home and in the diaspora. The formal launch of this national fundraising campaign is slated for December 28, 2018 in Ghana and February 2019 in the US. The National Cathedral Partnership Framework operationalizes and indeed is a practical expression of the social partnership envisaged to foster participatory development of country as our collective goal.
In a bid to fight corruption, the 2019 budget allocates some 180 million Ghana cedis to resource the office of the special prosecutor. And what he calls the hand-to-mouth management of the country's economy, Ken Ofori-Atta laid out government's plans to pursue a $50 billion century bond. But how did the minority react to the budget after it was read? For Citi Newsroom Parliament, I am Duke Menzo Poku.
Sometimes we need to be sincere. When you are reading a budget, you are reading figures and documents. Be sincere with yourself and be accurate. We'll come back to you, but 1 minute. The economy was rebased, and when the rebasing was done, the debt to GDP, when it was not rebased, was 76. Now it's 56. Under the same rebase, yours has now moved to 57. Now when you are going to read, you read the rebase at 76, and then in your case, then you now read the. You are analyzing the figures. This is dishonesty. Okay, let me move to the honorable the finance committee. The honorable member. Obviously, your colleague from the minority side believes that this budget portends no hope. It's just a rehash of the old promises. Nothing much has been done to assuage the pain of Ghanaians who are complaining about rising cost of life and others. Is this indeed an improved budget? Oh, it is an improved budget. I mean, fundamentally, you inherit an economy which, of course, they borrowed. They created hardship for people because there was excessive inflation of contracts and corruption, judgmentless and what have you, which under this regime, you can't calculate any of them. You borrowed and you have projects as Rich Hospital where expert says that it could value for a 400-bedded facility at around $140 million. You paid $264 million. The president went to Brazil, and then the Tamale International Airport, he said that it's going to cost $174 million. I didn't know that he was a bills of quantities person. Eventually became there about $100 million. You look at Kaswa project. You look at the projects that they are saying. Terminal 3, almost about $300 million, which they expect could have been almost about $87 million. We're talking about the overinflated projects that you left. And the cost of all this is the interest payments that will have to go on the market to borrow, to pay for some of these things. They are there priding themselves of we borrowing. Yes, borrow in dignity. It is sad that we are even borrowing majority of the borrowing to take care of the mess they created because they've handed it over to us.
And that includes going for a century bond, which will put our resources in jeopardy for 100 years.
Even telling you about the fact that you have.
Let's get some more perspective into this budget, and to help us do that is an economist, Dr. Abel Texan, as well as executive member of GUTA, Mr. Benjamin Yeboah, to give us more perspective or more analysis into this budget. Doc, welcome to the Citi Newsroom.
Thank you.
Well, welcome to you. What is your impression about this budget?
Okay, listening to the Minister of Finance read the budget, I see the intention of government trying to maintain a macro stability that has been enjoyed under the IMF extended credit facility, and also to now begin to fill the infrastructural gaps that we need so that we can move the pillars of development that we want to underpin our 2019 budget, being infrastructure, modernization of agriculture, industrialization, having to improve the efficiency of our revenue mobilization, and also to ensure that we are disciplined with our government expenditure, and then finally on social services. So these are the sort of things that underpin the budget for 2019, and some of the interventions that were listed under things that excite me, and I've said in the past that that is the way we need to go to develop our economy.
Okay. We'll come to those things you've mentioned proper. Let's rope in Mr. Yeboah, your impressions about this 2019 budget.
Well, I think the second year running, government still focused more on mobilization of revenue and broadening the tax net, even though we were looking at some interventions at the port. We did not see that. But we think that if they are going to look at broadening the tax net and then seeing ways of mobilizing some revenue, it might lead them on to looking at the post, which is critical in the sense that whether we like it or not, until the 1D1 have really come on board, we'll still have to do some imports. And definitely, if we have to do some imports, then we should look at that end. But nonetheless, we'll see how things will run per what the estimated income that they really want to generate from all the interventions that they are going to do. And if they are able to block the leakages, as they claim, let's see how things go there.
Will these policies that have been announced help your members who are largely in retail, manufacturing, etc.?
Well, the point is that if seriously they are going to do more with the 1D1, like they said, there are about 79 of them that have gotten some interventions from the Secretariat. If they really come on board, then we can see our members moving there to buy goods from these factories, and which was is good because the city is not performing the way we want, and we can, from the budget, we really did not see what government can really do in terms of arresting the downfall of the city. But in the long term, it's all points down to the industrialization of the economy, and I think if they are going to look at that and make sure that their fiscal monetary policy is really checked and they are very disciplined in that area, man, every money that comes into the kitty is geared towards those programs that they want to do. Let us see how things go. Then we can see them doing something further in 2020 for us. by doing something about the taxes.
Now, Doc, businesses are looking at policies that will help deal with the currency, will give us an enabling environment, etc. Did the budget contain certain things to deal with some of their concerns?
Of course. I mean, the 1D1F, the planting for food and jobs are all medium-term measures that would help us achieve the type of environment that would not put too much pressure on our local currency. Why am I saying this? I mean, the planting for food and jobs and the 1D1F is supposed to attack the structural bottlenecks that we have, and the reason why our city is not stable, because we tend to be import dependent, and therefore at every moment we are looking for more foreign currency to import goods, and therefore our city cannot hold its own against the currencies. Now, a 1D1F policy well pursued and having a direct impact would ensure that we are producing the import subsidies that we need. So therefore, if I'm a Guta member and I was importing canned tomatoes, for instance, and now it's being produced through the 1D1F in Ghana, I don't need to go and look for dollars to go and import the canned tomatoes. I can get them in Ghana to buy. And so when that happens, then you begin to look at the structural bottlenecks that have caused the Ghanaian economy to be very import dependent, and hence the inability of our city to hold its own against the dollar. Secondly, we also ensures that the goods that we produce, mainly agricultural produce, we are now beginning to have value to export. That alone would add export earnings to the amount of export earnings that we get every year. For instance, the minister mentioned the investment that they've made in WAMCO, for instance, that is now adding value to our cocoa. And that in itself is good, because what it does is that it allows us to even go into higher value addition processing into chocolates and so on and so forth. When we are able to do this, it increases our export earnings, because studies have shown that countries that export primary products are going to see a decline in their primary product prices, trending towards zero in the next 100 years. And therefore, we cannot go and rely on cocoa beans exports. So it's good that this 1D1F is coming on and we are adding value. And so in that way, I can assure those who are concerned about our currency that after a point, our currency will begin to hold its own, because we will no longer be import dependent. And that's the way we need to go.
Right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. But what else is in there for you if you are an income earner? Have a watch.
Compared to the 2018 revised revenue and grants targets of 50.68 billion Ghana cedis, the 2019 target of 58.9 billion Ghana cedis represents a 13.96% increase. Mr. Ofori-Atta stated that the targeted amount non-oil tax revenue will constitute about 74.2% of domestic revenue and amounts to 42.9 billion Ghana cedis.
18.6 billion has been estimated for interest payments of corporate debt. Of this amount, domestic interest payments will constitute about 77.8% and amount to 14.5 billion Ghana cedis. Government in 2019 will continue to implement the Earmark Funds Capital Realignment Act 2017 at 947 to reduce budget rigidities and create fiscal space to fund growth and housing expenditures.
On tax relief, the finance minister announced that in keeping with government's commitments to lighten the tax burden of wage earners at the lower levels of the wage ladder, minimum wage will attract no income tax.
We have listened to feedback from across the aisle.
We stay with the budget, and many had high expectations for the budget prior to the reading that was done earlier today. Citi News took to the streets to find out if Ghanaians were satisfied with the outcome of the budget statement for the year 2019.
The few that I listened, I can say that, well, there are certain things which I don't know that the government has been able to do in terms of some monetary affairs that in arrears of certain government policy like the NHIS I could see that all the expectations the government has put up is good. But at times, budget will be read, and then the expectations are good. But it remains the commitment of government to make sure that he puts in the money. The budget allocation that he has allocated to every sector should go accordingly and then in time, so that every project and gestations of certain projects can go on smoothly.
The budget for 2019, in my opinion, meets my expectation. The free senior high school issue featured, and it's a plus. The rules, the reconstruction of the rules also featured. We don't want it to be a farce. I mean, telling yes but not doing it. The words should be backed by actions.
I'm disappointed in this government. So I listened to the whole stuff just for 1 minute. And the 1 minute, what really put me off was the issue of this one district, one factory, and this dam stuff. Nanado told us right from the beginning that within the first 18 months, most of all these things that they are now saying they are going to do in the next year, and up to date, it has not been done, and you are now telling us that you will do it in the next coming year. What's the guarantee that you're going to do it? It's going to be the normal rhetoric. They say it and say and say and say. 2019, they will tell you that you gave us 4 years, so give us the last year for us to finish.
Anyway, unfortunately, I couldn't listen to all from A to Z. But the part that I listened to, the minister touched on almost all the sector ministries. Should I say that? And to me, they were on point. As far as I know, or as far as I could understand, they were all on point. So we are praying that they'll implement all those that he touched, so that it will be, in the long run, good for our country.
To me, the budget was good because I'm unemployed. And if you see the sector of unemployment, the government wants to employ some of the youth. So to me, it's good, and free education, my burden is gone. And the road sectors, I was expecting certain things, and the minister pointed on it. So to me, the budget is good. It's Bronya budget.
And so we still stay with the budget because the textile industry is expected to see a major boost next year with the implementation of the zero-rate VAT on the supply of locally made textiles. Now, this is according to the finance minister. Now, the local textile industry, which used to employ around 30,000 people, currently employs only 5,000 people due to activities such as smuggling and counterfeiting, which has undermined the industry. Finance Minister Ofori-Atta said government will extend the tax stamp policy to textile products and also give a zero-rate VAT on supply of locally made textiles for a period of 3 years to help revive the industry. Now, also, the finance minister has revealed that the government will launch the livestock model for planting for food and jobs. They'll call it Rearing for Food and Jobs. The program is aimed at increasing the production of selected livestock, especially poultry. It is also a way of reducing the large importation of food, according to the finance minister.
Well, the budget also spoke about other things, and the much talked about National Cathedral also came into focus, and the finance minister stated that government would be holding a fundraising ceremony to enable it to get more money for the construction. According to government, is to ensure that the project does not take any toll on the country's finances. The fundraisers will be organized in Ghana and February 2019, respectively, and this was disclosed by the Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta during the presentation of government's 2019 budget statement and economic policy before Parliament earlier today. Now, if you recall, in 2017, the president cut sword for National Cathedral to serve as a national non-denominational Christian worship center for the country. And the decision to build a cathedral has angered some Ghanaians, with people describing it as a waste of public land and national resources, while others have accused the government of misplaced priorities. However, Ken Ofori-Atta has asked Ghanaians who are agitating to heave a sigh of relief as the state plans to secure a partnership to appeal for funds for the project in a bid to ease the national purse.
So also, because government says it will invest some amount of money in road infrastructure. According to the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, the investment will cover all 10 regions of the country. This comes after recent calls and demonstrations in some parts of the country for the government to address the problem of poor road infrastructure. Most of these projects are expected to be achieved with funds from the $2 billion Seno Hydro facilities. You're still watching the Citi Newsroom. My name is Vivian Kai. Lokko, I'm here with
Nathan Quao.
We'll bring you more stories when we come back. Don't go away.
Spice up your mornings with culturally enriched interviews and policy-oriented discussions that will keep you updated on the progress of the nation.
Those security guys who were supposed to protect them, I'm sure by now somebody must have all of them arrested. They must all be arrested because it's an unprovoked attack.
Join the Breakfast Daily team Monday through Fridays from 7:30 a.m. to 10. Let your voice be heard with the hashtag Breakfast Daily. Join us for breakfast daily, only on Citi TV.
Get the backstory of the major news stories on Press Conference. Hear from the editors and the reporters behind the biggest stories of the week.
The university needs to think and reconsider. There are women who are in our universities who have been sexually molested for grades. That doesn't matter.
Press Conference every Sunday at 9 p.m. with Duke Mensa Opoku, only on Citi TV.
Thank you very much for staying with us here on the Citi Newsroom. Let's get to the Western region, where the Sekondi Takoradi Metropolitan Health Director, Joyce Bagina, has questioned Ghana's capacity to accommodate the current push to decriminalize marijuana use due to a lack of social intervention like rehabilitation centers for marijuana abusers. Her worry follows human rights NGO and the Post Foundation's advocacy for a quick passage of the current NACOP bill, which seeks to make marijuana use a public health issue instead of a criminal act. Citi News' Akwesi Ejenim has more in this report.
It is a normal sight to walk through the street of Sekondi Takoradi and spot mentally challenged persons dotted all over. What one cannot easily tell is how they ended up that way. Is it as a result of depression or drug abuse? However, throughout the whole of the Western region, there isn't a single public rehabilitation center for mentally challenged persons. Meanwhile, the Western Regional Drug Enforcement Unit of the Ghana Police Service says 90% of all drug cases in the region
have been dominated by marijuana trafficking or its abuse. Speaking at a drug policy reform program organized by the Pulse Foundation in collaboration with the Sekondi Takoradi Metropolitan Assembly, a chief superintendent of the prison service, Constance Dakuma, revealed the alarming numbers of drug convicts in the prisons.
The Ghana Prison Service has about 6% of its 15,000 inmate population on narcotic cases. That is about 900 inmates, which Sekondi Central Prison has 40 inmates convicted on drug-related cases. Our old dilapidated structures are overstretched, and some are tearing apart, some are pulling down. And we cannot contain the situation because situations are getting out of hand.
To curtail the number of marijuana abusers wasting their youthful years behind bars, the executive director of Pulse Foundation says the narco bill must quickly be passed to decriminalize marijuana use, but with healthcare approach.
The new Narcotics Commission bill is with the executive, and so we are pushing that its focus in terms of drug prevention will also have the public health and human rights approach. Every day we are spending a lot of money paying people to punish them for the drug. The investigation, from arrest to investigation to conviction to taking care of the person. Do we know how much we spend in this process? Do we know how much it will be for us if we were getting the person reformed? And if the person gets reformed outside by giving a non-custodial sentence, which we are still pushing, and a rehabilitation center to treat the person, the cost, we believe, will be minimized.
It is in response to this that the Sekondi Takoradi Metropolitan Health Director, Joyce Bagina, is questioning Ghana's capacity to accept marijuana use as a health issue.
If the country decides that, yes, in our new law, we want to decriminalize it, as questions have been raised before, as a country, are we prepared? Are we prepared? Are we prepared with all the resources that we need to be able to support the victims and to ensure that they get rehabilitated? How many rehab centers do we have as a country? Those few that we have are mostly owned by religious bodies or maybe private people. And the cost of rehabilitating people is very expensive. So are we as a country prepared to invest into ensuring that we'll be able to support these victims when we decriminalize it and the use even becomes more common? Because of course, we know that as our country, laws don't work. Laws don't work effectively. We have the mental health bill. How have we been able to support the mental health bill to work?
For Citi News, I am Akwese Jenim, Sekondi. We go to the northern region now, where road accidents have claimed 147 lives in 2018 so far. That's according to data coming from the National Road Safety Commission. The data shows 192 accidents involving 284 vehicles have been recorded this year. Citi News' Abdul Karim Natonga has the details in the following report.
It is disheartening that majority of motorists in our part of the country, particularly in the regional capital Tamale, flout road regulations with impunity. Motorcycles meant for carrying 2 persons are often used to carry 4 and above. This practice gains notoriety during electioneering campaign season when presidential candidates of the various political parties, particularly the NPP and the NDC, are on a campaign tour of our part of the country. Most motorcycle riders ride without crashed helmets, and they are often unmindful of pedestrians and road signs. Records from the National Road Safety Commission indicate that 84% of the road accidents recorded this year were caused by motorcycle and tricycle riders. It is against this backdrop the Northern Regional Secretariat of the National Road Safety Commission has intensified its campaign on the streets of Tamale ahead of the upcoming Christmas season. Ofori-Atta is the Northern Regional Director of the National Road Safety Commission.
Put them there. Save your own life. Look at this. Why are you hiding it? Now you're going to wear it. Now you're wearing it. And your number. Hello? You need to get a number for your motor. But next time we come here, we're not going to allow anybody. Everybody has to take good. They are not coming to joke at all. Wear your headline, take your lantern, and of course, both of you, we will not allow you.
Mr. Ofori-Atta, thank you very much for making time with us on Citi TV. What exactly is this mission about?
We are out here to do a first-hand information of the law, which I call the primary enforcement, which means to educate the people, inform them, let them know what is expected of them. The one of seat belts, helmet, roadworthy, licensing, and together of those who are overloading their motors, we will not allow it. Because we are almost getting to Christmas, and we expect that we do what is right.
Mr. Atta said it was disappointing that despite the intensive public campaigns by his office, road carnage in our part of the country is on the rise.
You can imagine last year, 2017, from September to January, 95 people were killed on the road and 579 were injured. This same period, January to September, we had 147 people being killed and 741 injured. And it tells you that, of course, we are not safe at all.
Ofori-Atta called for effective collaboration between his outfit, the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, and the Motor Traffic and Transport Unit of the Ghana Police Service to curb road menace in our part of the country.
From the northern region, we go to the Upper East region, where commuters who ply the Navrongo-Chuchuliga-Sandema-Fumbisi Road in that region say government's failure to ensure a speedy construction of that road is taking a toll on their lives. According to them, the road, which was awarded on contract to My10 Construction Limited in 2016, has not seen a significant improvement 2 years on. Our correspondent, Fred Awuni, reports.
The 22.24-kilometer Navrongo-Chuchuliga-Sandema-Fumbisi Road was awarded to My10 Construction Limited in 2016 under the John Mahama administration. Construction works on the road has stalled for some months now due to the government's inability to honor certificates raised by the contractor. Due to the bumpy nature of the road coupled with the many potholes, a 1-hour journey from Bolga to Sandema can last 2 hours, while that of Fumbisi over 3 hours. The health hazards associated with the dusty bumpy road cannot be overemphasized. Some drivers at Sandema station expressed their ordeal when plying the road.
We are facing a lot of problems in the road. The road is not fun. From Navrongo to Sumbisi is very rough, and you can't even, if you apply one day, the money you got, the next day you use the money and you pay the car. And so we are calling the government to help us so that the road can able to reply for us, so that that money can able to put in our pockets. So that's what we are complaining every day, and we don't see the results. So we are praying that maybe if the government will listen to us, will come and help us so that our roads can be fine for us.
For our road there, Masa, it's not good at all from Navrongo to Sandema towards to Fumbisi. It's not good at all. After that, if you go check my car now, the hand and all the boys they are condemned. Now I don't have money to buy. Now the economy is too high. We don't know whether the government is deceiving us for the road side. I don't know how is a contractor. I don't know how it's from our own.
Some passengers also shared their frustrations about the bad nature of the road and called for government intervention.
I've been coming here for a very long time, and the road needs to be taken care of well. But what I realized on the road is each government comes and, you know, because of their contract issues, they don't, you know, lay the road well, and when they come, different government comes, the road is spoiled again, causing a lot of, you know, problems on the way. And also, you know, sometimes before you
from Boga to here, before you get to Sandema, you look as if somebody who is from Sandpit because of the condition of the road. Good. I want the government to see to it from the perspective of the poor, so that they can do the road once and for all for the people to enter.
Sometimes, as a method people and we also cause a lot of accidents because of the photos. Everywhere that you pass, you see by the time that you live from Boga to here, let's say if the road is good, you take a less than 1 hour 30 minutes. But because of the nature of the road, sometimes it will take us 3 hours, or someone will take us 2 hours, 2 minutes because of the nature of the road. And then sometimes it was old people that are not even want to come to the market because of the nature of the road. Sometimes when the youths come here, when they get back to their nature, they will be affected with some kind of diseases. Most people just the nature of the road. And that's something we can agree. I want the government to actually improve the road as is there. This day they say that they are not starting to back. Nothing is on the way. But now one government to do the road. If the government is working on the road, so that we want really enjoy and so that they should do about the policy. So every year the government will come, and say but yet we are not benefit from what. So when the government was doing what they promised us to do, so we should let the road work, we should let the road and then we enjoy the road. So that anytime we come here, we should know that yes, this is really that we promised, but not instead of similar to.
For Citi News, Frederick Awuni, Navrongo.
And in some other stories, alarmed by the rise in rape and defilement cases, the Ghana Police, the Ministry of Health and Ministry of Education have joined forces with other stakeholders to find solutions. Now, as part of efforts to tackle the menace, a campaign has been launched against rape and defilement to empower young people, especially girls, to report such cases. There's more in this report.
Rape is one of the most repugnant affronts to human dignity. Around the world, rape, defilement and sexual abuse are everyday violent occurrences, affecting close to 1 billion girls and women over their lifetime. Although boys and men are sometimes raped, victims are predominantly female. It is estimated that 35% of women worldwide have experienced sexual violence at some point in their lives. In a bid to raise awareness on the gravity of the problem and discuss possible solutions, Rich Media Consult, in partnership with the Ghana Police Service, DOFSU and the Ministries of Health and Education, has launched a campaign against rape and defilement. Speaking at the launch, the founder of Rich Media, Reverend Jerry Okine, says the high rate of rape and defilement in Ghana is a major threat to society and called on authorities to act swiftly to curb it.
Let's pay attention to this alarming statistic on sexual violence in Ghana. 27% of women have been sexually assaulted in their lifetime. 1 in 3 women have been fondled or touched against their will. For 2 in 10 women, their first experience of sex was against their will. 7% of women have been forced to touch a man's private part. Too bad. 3 in 10 women are harassed or coerced when they refuse their partner's sex. Certainly, we need the collective role of the stakeholders to address this menace.
The Deputy Greater Accra Regional Minister, Elizabeth Teria Saki, who was there to support the campaign, called for sensitization to raise more awareness of the problem.
1 billion children globally experience some form of emotional, physical, or sexual violence every year, and 1 dies as a result of violence every 5 minutes. The Criminal Investigation Department has recorded about 82 defilement and 41 rape cases from January to May this year. Indeed, this clearly indicates that more work needs to be done in creating public awareness and sensitization on the danger of this barbaric menace.
A representative from the Violence and Victim Support Unit, DOFSU, said the upsurge of these cases in Ghana is alarming and called on the various stakeholders to show more commitment towards reducing it.
Statistics shows that a lot of girls, those who have their first contact with sex, then 2 out of 10 always had it through rape. Physically, the girl can do what? Can have injury, can even die, cannot even give birth. In fact, a lot. Emotionally, she's alienated from the society. People even look at her as if it is her fault. And then people, she's raped. You know, it's a life-threatening issue that we should all stand against and fight it and eradicate it. Studies have shown that perpetrators of rape are very likely to be HIV infected because of that pattern of behavior of rape. They're likely to come in contact with HIV and be HIV positive.
And to some other stories, and the Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, Cecilia Dapa, is calling for the introduction of community service as a deterrent to those who violate sanitation laws in the country.
She made this known on her second familiarization tour with the media after assuming office, and there is more in the following report.
The Sanitation and Water Resources Minister, as part of a familiarization tour on the sanitation situation in the capital, began her tour yesterday at the Teshi dump site. She took the opportunity to educate some students of the Teshi Presbyterian Senior High School on sanitation.
It's about sanitation.
Her next stop was the Gan East Municipal Assembly, where a dump fill site that has been operational since 1998 was shut down in 2017 after residents raised some health concerns. The assembly shared its plans for the site.
For now, we are waiting for the capping of the dump site. The minister is here. We've debriefed her, and we've stopped every activity in the place. In the near future, we are going to use it as a recreational place. So that is what we are planning towards.
In the interim, how are the people in the area managing their waste?
Waste in the municipality is taken to Pung and Insomnia.
Commenting on her plans in addressing the sanitation situation in the country, the sector minister had this to say.
I'll even add communal labor to it, if the judges will agree, so that wherever you are found to have littered, you collect. In addition to the fine or imprisonment, we need to be law-abiding citizens. We are not spectators. Like my boss says, we should be active citizens. And it's for your children's children, you see, and for my grandchildren, and for his children as well, and her children as well. We need to be alive to our responsibilities, our civic responsibilities, sanitation responsibilities, and all other responsibilities. Yes, so come along as partners. We will be transparent in our dealings with the job we are doing, and that's it. Yeah.
Thank you. The Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources and the local assembly for this area says the heap of refuse right behind me here in a few months will be turned into a recreational site. Well, we will be back to check whether it's actually going to be done. Reporting for Citi News, my name is Michael Obodu.
And that's it for today's edition of Citi Newsroom. Visit citinewsroom.com for more stories.